I pursued Chloe for 5 years. If she accepted my proposal on her birthday, I could stay in this world. But I waited until the stroke of midnight before I heard the system's voice. It's all over. Chloe's first love returned today, and she's been with him the whole time. After all this time, the system decided to grant me one request, to let me choose my own way to die. Well, since I have to leave sooner or later anyway, I want to die in front of Chloe. I want her to kill me with her own hands and make her regret it for the rest of her life. There were only 5 minutes left until 12 o'clock. Today was my 25th birthday and also the final deadline for the pursuit. As long as Chloe accepted my proposal today, I could stay. We had clearly agreed. The room was decorated with balloons. A cream cake sat on the table, and even the corners were filled with bouquets of roses. Our mutual friends had been notified in advance and had come to the house ready to celebrate. However, from noon until evening, Chloe's phone never connected. My buddy Greg consoled me. "Ethan, don't worry. Maybe something came up." What could have come up? Not long ago, she was lying on my lap, promising me word for word, "Ethan, when are you going to marry me? I swear I'll only ever be your bride." I shook my head. I asked my friends to leave first. According to the rules, if Chloe didn't return by the end of the day, I would be erased by the system. I really didn't want these true friends to see me disintegrate. Perhaps I looked too pathetic, constantly checking my watch. With only a few minutes left, the system finally spoke up. "Host, stop waiting." For some reason, the usually cold mechanical voice now carried a hint of indignation. "She's not coming. Julian returned to the country today. She's been with him, and they're at the hospital now." Julian was Chloe's first love. They were childhood sweethearts, having grown up together. It was just that he had a congenital heart defect and had always been frail. He was sent to America by his parents in high school and rarely appeared after that. I rubbed my temples, feeling exhausted. "Is his condition cured?" I asked. "No," the system explained, "but new technology has just been successfully developed domestically, so he probably won't go abroad again." I see. That's understandable. Since the person she truly loved was back, there was no need to stay entangled with me. Just as the system's voice faded, the 12 o'clock alarm rang. I closed my eyes, waiting for the moment my soul would be stripped away. However, almost a minute passed. Nothing happened. I opened my eyes. It was still the familiar room. The messy bouquets, decorations, and lights. Why was I still here? "I submitted an application for you. Your time in this world will be extended by 24 hours. At the same time, you can choose your own way to die." It didn't sound particularly interesting, but since I had nothing else to do, I actually started discussing with the system in all seriousness what kind of grand way I should die tomorrow. Arson, jumping off a building, drowning. Since that evening, the system's voice had become unusually gentle. "It's just leaving the current world, and I'll help you eliminate the pain." I hummed in agreement. I casually opened my phone, scrolling through my social media feed one last time. The latest post was from Chloe's best friend. A photo of a sport car accompanied by 2 short lines. "Haven't seen her tearing up downtown like this in ages." The power of a first love. Truly something else. Chloe's family was deeply rooted with businesses spread across the country. She grew up in luxury, wanting for nothing. Her friends were mostly rich kids too, spending money like water, frequenting luxury stores without a second thought, owning plenty of expensive watches and cars. For thrills, a few of these debutantes who grew up together even formed a club dedicated to extreme sports like racing, surfing, or skydiving. After Chloe and I got together, she rarely participated in these activities anymore, but occasionally she would still go mountain racing until something happened a few years ago. She crashed into a guardrail, half her body covered in blood, and was hospitalized for half a month. Her grandfather gave her a stern talking to, and she finally quit. "She's racing again?" I asked the system, somewhat puzzled. "Not racing. Julian suddenly had heart pain, so she drove him to the hospital, not only running several red lights, but also speeding excessively." This was downtown. I frowned. If something really happened, it wouldn't just be her getting hurt. Others would be involved too. A few minutes passed, and several of our mutual friends started commenting under that social media post. "Is she crazy? Didn't she say she was ready to be Ethan's wife? What's with the street racing? Haha, Bro, update your info. Julian's back. Chloe's not marrying Ethan anymore. Watch your mouth. Proposal aside, street racing downtown is just wrong. Exactly. It's so dangerous. What if she hits someone? Doesn't Chloe remember her grandfather taking a belt to her? She's already speeding like crazy. That girl needs to learn a lesson. I made a sound of understanding. Let's do it this way, I said to the system. Where's Chloe now? She took Julian to the hospital and is now rushing to get his prescription filled. I'm all right then. I've decided how I want to leave this world. I twirled the pen in my hand. Instead of her actually hitting someone else in an accident, I'd rather see the look on her face when she realizes she personally pushed me into the abyss for her first love. Chloe wasn't far from me now. The system told me I didn't react at first. Later, I figured it out and smiled self-deprecatingly. I was being sentimental. It was just because near this house was the largest herbal medicine chain store in all of Chicago, where many rare or limited medicines could be found. My stomach used to bother me. Chloe would also get up in the middle of the night, throw on a coat, and go downstairs to buy medicine for me. Then she'd force herself to stay awake all night, sitting on a small stool in the kitchen, fanning the decoction as it simmered. She had always been like that. When she cared for someone, she'd cradle them in her palm, constantly thinking about them, worrying they might suffer even the slightest grievance. It was precisely because of those intimate times that her lack of love now was even more apparent. The system asked if I wanted to go take a look. I nodded. Of course, this was the final farewell. There was only one main road leading to the pharmacy. I put on my coat and went out. After walking a few hundred yards, I reached a T-junction she had to pass. It was evening now, around 8 or 9. In winter, it got dark quickly. It was already a dim night. The streetlight behind me lit up, casting a faint yellow halo. I stood beneath it, and a few moths happened to fly past my eyes. At that moment, I actually hesitated. Should I go through with this with Chloe? There were only 3 or 4 hours left until midnight. I could use this time to watch a movie, listen to songs I wanted to hear, or go for a walk by the beach and pick up a few shells. Those would all be good, rare, final memories of my time in this world. Ethan, it was the system's voice. This time, for once, it didn't call me host, but my name. I answered and reflexively looked up. A dazzling light. In the distance, a silver sports car was speeding towards me. It was Chloe's car. It was too fast. I shielded my eyes. The high beams were practically blinding me. Are you sure? Yes, because I saw a little girl with a backpack just about across the road. The light was too blinding. It took a few seconds before I noticed the girl on the road. She had a ponytail and was wearing the uniform of a nearby elementary school. She looked to be in 1st or 2nd grade, short and small, wearing large over-ear headphones. She was holding her phone, texting someone, a smile on her face. She was completely oblivious to her surroundings. Even if Chloe noticed the child at her current speed, braking immediately probably wouldn't be enough. The immense inertia would send the girl flying with horrific consequences. In that instant, I barely thought, get out of the way. I ran over and threw myself forward. A scream pierced my ears. The little girl in the school uniform was probably pushed away by me. She fell, crawled forward a couple of steps, then stumbled back to her feet. Mister, help. So much blood. Someone's been hit. Ah. The system hadn't lied. It had removed my sense of pain. So the moment the car ran over me, I didn't feel much, just some strange impact sounds and the crunch of bones breaking and shattering. It certainly wasn't a pleasant sensation, but thankfully the system quickly separated my entire consciousness from my physical body. I floated in midair, looking down at everything happening below. The girl must have been terrified. She was trembling, fumbling for her phone to call for an ambulance. I suddenly felt that what I did was quite worthwhile. I was going to die anyway, and I could save a life. Chloe, sitting in the car, must have realized something was wrong. After she slammed on the brakes, the sports car skidded forward another few hundred yards before finally stopping. What happened? Perhaps because I was no longer confined to a body, I could clearly hear her words even through the closed car door and window. She looked bewildered, one hand on the door handle, muttering to herself, "Did I hit someone? No way. That's crazy." She didn't even see me lunging forward. I smiled bitterly and shook my head. I was somewhat looking forward to seeing her reaction when she got out of the car and saw me lying on the ground. But the next second, I was disappointed after all. The phone in the car rang. It was Julian. His voice sounded weak. "Chloe, when are you coming? I feel so awful." The system told me Julian had returned to the country to try the efficacy of herbal medicine as an auxiliary treatment. He had just undergone surgery abroad. Yesterday, he had another consultation with cardiologists. The hospital issued a long list of precautions and medications he needed to take. A few were needed urgently. Fortunately, our city had the largest traditional Chinese medicine store in the country. Therefore, Chloe had practically driven nonstop towards the other end of the city. The doctor said it's best to start the medication today. Combined with the recent surgery, the first course of treatment will be more effective. From here to the pharmacy, getting the herbs, preparing them, and then rushing back to the hospital. Herbal medicine also required a period of decoction. 3 hours was, to say the least, very tight. Chloe's hand on the car door trembled. Then she put it down. "Chloe, you can come back, right?" "Yes, of course." She placed her hand back on the steering wheel. Her voice was gentle as she promised into the phone, "Julian, don't worry. You'll be able to take your medicine on time." She wasn't even going to get out and take a look. She hit someone. If before it could have been barely explained as an accident, now it was blatant criminal negligence. I took a deep breath and exhaled slowly. I stared intently at Chloe in the car, wanting to slap her. Yet I could do nothing. I could only watch helplessly as she stepped on the gas and drove away as if it were all just a dream. I thought I would remain where I was. Unexpectedly, I found myself sitting in the sports car, my consciousness following Chloe as she sped off. Since you're no longer bound by a physical body, isn't it more interesting to see what else she'll do? The system probably sensed my confusion and stated it bluntly. It was the first time I'd heard its tone so direct, with a hint of mockery. It was probably quite infuriated, too. I couldn't help but chuckle. "Hey," I sighed. "I'm really starting to feel it wasn't worth it." There were still a few hours left in the day, and they just vanished. After a moment, the system replied, "The original setting was, if you could have been sent to the hospital within these few hours, there was still hope of saving you. If you woke up, your consciousness might not necessarily have been unable to return." I said nothing. It even took me a while to understand what it meant. I unconsciously turned my head to look back. In the dim night, the body lying in the middle of the road was no longer visible. Did it still have vital signs? I wondered until Chloe interrupted my thoughts. She picked up her phone again and called someone else. "Maya, something happened here. Can you come check it out for me? It's at the T-junction behind Oak Street." I was texting and didn't see the road ahead. I feel like I hit something. It's noisy a few hundred yards back. Sounds like crying. I don't know if I heard it wrong. Come take a look. See if I injured someone. Help me take them to the hospital and compensate them. I'd heard the name Maya before. She was supposed to be Chloe's distant cousin. Chloe's parents divorced very early. Within a few months, her father remarried, and her stepmother even got pregnant and gave birth to a son. Because of this, Chloe was quite rebellious in her youth, disobedient and troublesome. Most of the friends she made weren't very decent either. Maya was one of them. She didn't even make it to college and started working early. Though not book smart, she had high emotional intelligence and a vast, messy network of connections. Once, Chloe even let her manage a small branch company for a while. I frowned. What? Are they still in contact? I thought Chloe had long since cut ties with Maya. During those months, when Maya was the minor head of the branch company, I accidentally discovered that the company's cash flow was very abnormal, seemingly involved in some shady business. After I exposed the matter, she no longer had a place in the company. Back then, Maya detested me. The day she left, she pointed at my nose and said, "Ethan, don't think you're so great just because you're Chloe's boyfriend. She doesn't even like you. She'll kick you to the curb sooner or later. You won't even know how you'll die or who'll collect your body." How ridiculous. At the time, I just thought she was babbling nonsense, speaking without thinking. I never expected it to become a self-fulfilling prophecy. To think this uneducated delinquent would be the one to deal with my remains. The system consoled me. "Host, maybe she could take me to the hospital." I shook my head. I just hated myself for misjudging people. She was entangled with her childhood sweetheart. She befriended people with bad characters and improper methods, and I still held a sliver of hope for her. I was truly foolish. Chloe didn't seem to realize the severity of the situation. Or perhaps the little girl's cries had given her the wrong impression, making her think the person she knocked down had gotten up and shouted a bit. So, she continued to instruct, take them for a checkup at the hospital if needed. We'll cover all expenses. Call me when it's done. Should I praise you for being a great philanthropist? My eyes nearly rolled into the back of my head. I didn't want to listen anymore. I tilted my head, closed my eyes, leaned back, and emptied my mind. In my current state, I could actually fall asleep, but I only slept for a little over 2 hours. Chloe was really efficient. She got the prescription filled and returned to the hospital, handing the items to the attending physician. Is it in time? She asked anxiously. It's not 12 yet. If we prepare it now and he takes it, Julian's condition should improve, right? What 12 o'clock? This or that? The doctor shot her a glare. It's not an exam or a race. Why do you have to submit it by a deadline? I just told you to hurry up and see where you could buy the medicine. I didn't say you absolutely had to get it today. He's been sick for so long. Is he going to have a problem because he missed 1 day of new medicine? The doctor's tone was like he was talking to an illiterate. I had been yawning in the back. I instantly woke up and burst out laughing. Yeah, I'd only heard of critical patients in an ICU racing against time. I'd never seen someone buying medicine who had to watch the clock. Chloe had been pampered since childhood and had rarely been reprimanded. After hearing the doctor's words, her face turned somewhat gloomy, not very pleasant. After a while, she moved towards the inpatient area and gently pushed open the door to her room. Hearing the sound, the man sitting on the hospital bed looked up. He was wearing a blue hospital gown, his skin pale, his face gaunt. Chloe, you're back. I remembered this seemed to be the first time I saw Julian in person. I had actually seen his photos often before, in Chloe's middle school graduation yearbook, among a thick stack of her childhood photo albums, and even in her phone's photo gallery, in that folder marked with a pink heart symbol. In the photos, he was a teenager. But the Julian now was much more mature, flipping through a magazine in his hand, seemingly mentioning casually, "Did you get the medicine?" "Yeah," Chloe replied faintly, sitting on the chair by the bed. This cold attitude probably made Julian a bit uncomfortable. He reached out, seeming to inadvertently touch Chloe's arm. "What? Tired?" Chloe still didn't speak. Instead, she took out her phone and started browsing. I tilted my head, curious. Wasn't she quite energetic when she was tearing through the streets in her sports car just now? Why play the aloof role now? For a moment, the atmosphere in the room even became a bit awkward until Julian finished the last page of the magazine. He put the book on the bedside table and picked up the topic again. "I'm practically a walking pharmacy now. Can't live without these bottles, jars, granules, and capsules." Chloe finally looked up. "Really?" She interrupted Julian. "But I just saw the doctor. He said, your condition has actually been quite stable, and it doesn't really matter when you transfer hospitals or start medication." "Julian, you should know, right? I had something very important yesterday." Chloe's tone was unusually low and serious. The night seeped in through the glass window, and the incandescent light on the ceiling cast a somewhat bleak glow. At this moment, half of her body was in shadow, making her seem blurry, her thoughts unreadable. Julian's lips twitched a few times. "Why are you suddenly talking about this?" He opened his mouth, raising his voice. "Oh, I know your boyfriend is proposing to you. Chloe is getting married, so naturally she doesn't want her childhood big brother anymore, right? Fine. Even if you're deeply in love with him, a whole day has passed now. Has he contacted you? You psycho. Chloe was the one who stood me up, not me. I had been waiting for her in the house for a long time, incidentally, receiving countless sympathetic glances from friends. What was the point of chasing after her now?" But Chloe seemed genuinely taken aback. She lowered her head, her lips pressed into a thin line. Her left hand gripped her phone tightly. Julian continued to ramble on. "See, he doesn't value you that much at all. Someone who loves you would have called you long ago to ask. Someone who doesn't love you wouldn't care at all. Maybe he's hoping you won't accept his proposal. Maybe he has better ideas. Perhaps he's already off with some other woman living happily ever after." Chloe, don't get in too deep. Stop it. Chloe stood up abruptly. She let out a long breath, a look of annoyance on her face. You get some rest. I'll go sit outside for a bit. She stumbled a couple of steps. After steadying herself, she picked up her coat and walked out of the room. I drifted along behind her. Chloe looked somewhat dejected now. Leaning against the wall, she picked up her phone again and started scrolling. I curiously leaned over. I found it was the WeChat chat screen from our last conversation before the proposal. I asked her if she was nervous, if she was happy. She replied with several messages. Of course, I'm nervous, you silly. But I'm even more happy and excited. He's smiley underscore face .jpg. Later, we still have to prepare for the wedding. Soba, so I love you so much. I can't sleep. I glanced at Chloe. I couldn't help but wonder, were those words she typed back then sincere? These sentences felt like an intangible, untouchable dream. Chloe's fingers hovered over the chat box. She typed a few words, then deleted them back and forth. This went on for a while until she finally typed out a complete sentence. Ethan, are you angry? Why didn't you call me? Crying underscore face. I had something on yesterday. I'll apologize to you later. Okay. I snorted coldly. Apologize? A late apology? Nobody cares. But before that message could be sent, the phone rang. It was my good buddy Greg calling. After that absurd proposal ended in nothing yesterday, Greg and I hadn't seen each other. His voice over the phone was urgent and angry. Chloe, where's Ethan now? I can't reach him at all. If anything happens to him, we won't let you off. Chloe frowned. Ethan's missing? She even repeated. But I haven't seen him these past 2 days. You have a nerve to say that? Greg was the main debater for the university's speech team and even participated in national competitions and TV shows. Now he was a minor internet celebrity in his field. At this moment, his tone became even more aggressive. You haven't seen him? Shouldn't you and Ethan be sweetly meeting parents or planning a trip somewhere right now? Oh, right. I forgot. You with your childhood sweetheart, that male homewrecker. How could you remember him? I'm going to puke. Ugh. Being scolded like this, Chloe clenched her phone tightly. She took several deep breaths. Her tone wasn't great either. I don't want to argue with you, but Ethan hasn't called me at all. I was going to ask if he was with you. She probably remembered what Julian had said in the hospital room earlier. So, she added, if he really valued the proposal ceremony, would he not even question me by now? Chloe, are you out of your freaking mind? Greg usually liked to be sarcastic when he cursed, but this time he was probably so angry that he just unleashed a torrent of vocabulary. Unfortunately, before he could finish, the call was disconnected. I looked at Chloe with some sympathy. How did she become so foolish at such a young age? This must be an early sign of dementia. She sat on the hospital bench, slowly leaning forward. The phone screen was still on our chat interface. Her finger hovered over the dialog box, hesitating for a moment. As if in a fit of pique, she deleted the words she had just typed one by one. I chuckled softly. She thought I was still alive and that I would be sad, upset, even jealous because she was with Julian. Chloe leaned against the wall behind her, draped her coat over herself, and closed her eyes. She was probably really tired and fell asleep quickly. It was already past midnight, including the extra 24 hours given to me. My time was up. I called out to the system again. By now, I should have completely lost all vital signs, right? What did that Maya do with my body? Can you see from your end? I didn't believe a delinquent like Maya would honestly take me to the hospital. So what happened afterward weighed on my mind like a stone. The system, true to being a medium from a higher dimension than this world, didn't answer my question directly after hearing it. Instead, it simply pulled up a scene. In it, everything that happened next could be clearly seen. The little girl I saved proudly called her parents. Within a few minutes, her parents arrived. I thought they would wait a bit until the police arrived to handle the situation before leaving, but they just took the child and left. I patiently continued to watch. Next, it was Maya's car. She was driving a rather expensive-looking luxury sedan, which she stopped at the intersection. After getting out, she quickly found the abandoned me. Chloe, that girl, really caused an accident. She seemed to treat it as a trivial matter, slowly walked a couple of steps, squatted down, picked up my body, and turned it over. For quite a long while, She remained in that position without moving. I even thought the system had frozen. But then I heard her rather unpleasant shouts. Ethan, damn, it's actually Ethan. Who would believe it? The lover who just days ago swore to be together forever was now in a life-or-death situation because of the other. How is this possible? Did Chloe make a mistake? Wasn't she determined to marry him? Talking about growing old together, Maya was still yelling. She took out her phone, seemingly wanting to make a call to confirm with Chloe again. At this moment, my hand twitched. It flipped upwards slightly, as if hitting her high-heeled shoe. The system's voice quickly interjected. This is just a nerve reflex before death. Limb convulsions caused by brain failure. I wasn't really shaken. Maya, however, seemed startled. She leaned back, almost falling. Not dead. Ethan's not dead. She reached out and squeezed my neck. The faint pulse made her breathing heavier, confirming the current situation. For a moment, even I was curious. Faced with a severely injured, unconscious person, what would she do? Would she abandon him, or would she extend a hand to save his life? Soon I discovered that for such an immoral person, I couldn't ask for too much. Maya not only didn't take me to the hospital, but her hand on my neck also gradually tightened harder and harder. The scene was so vivid, it felt as if the air was truly being sucked away from me. I couldn't help but cough twice. I cursed. I just kicked this person out of the company. Does she hate me that much? The system cut off the playback. It sighed along with me. Yes. So, without being sent to the hospital, without receiving treatment, Ethan still died. I was clear. Although it looked like I died at Maya's hands, the fundamental reason was still Chloe. It was she who missed the proposal, she who knocked me down, and she who called Maya. I looked at the young woman slumped on the corridor bench. Her brow was slightly furrowed, as if she wasn't sleeping soundly. She was also mumbling something. I leaned closer to listen and found she was calling my name. Then, don't be angry. Can we have another proposal? Okay. Even the system let out a groan, hearing such absurd words. Who is she trying to disgust? Exactly. If you were really that concerned, could you still be sleeping now? Perhaps my unspoken thoughts had a small effect. A few hours later, just as the sky was beginning to lighten, Chloe's phone rang again. It sounded particularly abrupt in the quiet, empty hospital corridor. She sat up, pressing the answer key. Ethan, are you home? Of course, it wouldn't be me. It was one of her childhood friends. Ethan, who? Go check social media. Greg called you out. You're trending right now. You know, the trending topic was this line. Daughter of a well-known family conglomerate plays fiancé, leading to his unknown whereabouts. Huh. I read it back and forth several times. This probably wasn't what Greg came up with. The caption Greg posted on his own social media was relatively concise and clear. Male homewrecker involved. Friend deceived by fiancé. Currently, whereabouts unknown. Police have been alerted. Still unable to contact him. Friends are worried for his safety. Below was a picture. It was the landmark building of the Miller family's company located right in the city center. This was tantamount to pointing out that the rich young lady in the statement was Chloe. For a moment, the popularity soared. Greg's fans, onlookers, and even paid trolls hired by the Miller family's business competitors all flooded in. The comments section was a mess. Call the police. What's the use of posting this online for judgment? Finding the person is the most crucial thing. Didn't you see it already said police were alerted? This Chloe is such a scumbag, standing someone up at their own proposal ceremony. Anyone would be depressed. I suggest everyone boycott Miller family products from now on. Greg had millions of followers. Plus, Chloe herself was a minor celebrity, a rich kid with inherent popularity. This social media post attracted more and more attention. Some people even directly tagged the official social media accounts of the police and courts. Missing person, please investigate. With things escalating like this, Chloe couldn't sit still anymore. She tossed her coat aside and started walking out. In the elevator, Chloe received a call. The screen showed the word father. Chloe had a very bad relationship with her dad. Ever since her father remarried and her stepmother moved in, she rarely spoke at home. Her ability to work, and in turn, her management position at the company, was almost entirely due to her mother's shares. After the call connected, The narrow space was instantly filled with a torrent of abuse. Look at what they're saying about our company online. I raised you all these years. Don't you have any sense of responsibility? Don't think you're something special just because of the shares your mother left you. I could still kick you out by uniting the board. I'll have her brother join the company in a few days. Enough, Chloe interrupted sharply. She snorted coldly. Haven't you wanted to do this for a long time? There's so much nonsense online. Ethan couldn't possibly leave me. He's just arguing with me. Just as she finished speaking, the elevator doors opened. A group of people in uniform stood outside. It was the police. Are you Chloe Miller? The policeman at the front showed his badge. You were speeding last night, hit a young man, and fled the scene. The victim no longer has vital signs. Finally, I glanced at the time. It was only a little after 7. I had to say our police investigation and action speed were quite fast. Chloe shook her head, her face instantly turning deathly pale. Hit and run, causing death. I clearly called someone to come help handle it. She took a step forward, trying to feign a tough attitude. That makes you an accomplice. The next moment, the police officer directly cuffed her wrist. Do you have any questions? Good. We also need you to identify the body. Chloe ignored why the police would need her, the perpetrator, to identify the victim's body. She was just angry, indignant, and kept blaming incessantly until she entered the police station's morgue. She asked, "Can't we settle this? Give me the family's contact information. I think they won't refuse the amount." The police officer snorted coldly. Unfortunately, according to our investigation, the young man's parents passed away a long time ago. He has many friends, though, and a fiancée. It's just that the fiancée went to find someone else on the day of the proposal and disappeared. Chloe frowned as if she remembered something. She opened her mouth, but ultimately said nothing. She just followed step by step to the long table placed in the corner. It seemed only at this moment did she finally remember something. She looked up at the police officer. What's the use of me identifying the body? I didn't see anything clearly at the time. Even if I did, I wouldn't know him. How could you not know him? The police officer rolled his eyes. Didn't you just say on social media a few days ago that you were about to be proposed to? I hid far behind, watching this absurd farce. My body lay on the silver metal table, covered only a general outline visible. What do you mean? Chloe's Adam's apple bobbed, her voice dry as if squeezed out. What do you mean by that? Her hand, originally on the white cloth outside, was now trembling, frozen in midair, never daring to lift it. The police officer had been writing something in a notebook. After a while, he looked up, saw her still in that posture, and finally lost patience. He reached out and lifted it himself. Chloe Miller, this is the person you hit while speeding at the Oak Street T-junction last night. Have you seen him? Do you recognize him? Do you know who this is? Looking at Ethan lying there, motionless and bloodless, I finally truly felt it. I was really dead. I had died, covered in wounds, in a wretched state. These extra dozens of hours were merely borrowed from the system. I glanced at Chloe. Impossible, she cried, covering her face, seemingly unable to bear even a single look. How could it be? How could it be? Ethan, are you trying to say I hit? Chloe's voice grew smaller and smaller for the last part of the sentence, and she ultimately didn't finish it. There's surveillance footage at the intersection. The eyewitness has also contacted us. It was you in your sports car, going far above the speed limit, who ran over the man who was supposed to become your husband. Maya was, of course, also arrested. After all, I was still breathing at the time. She choked me and then threw me into a patch of wasteland, leaving me there to slowly die. Upon learning this, Chloe stumbled a couple of steps. She seemed to have lost all her strength. She reached out to steady herself on the edge of the table, but slipped. She knelt beside my body. Yes, I could have been saved. If only she had stopped the car then and taken me to the hospital immediately. But what did she do? She called a hooligan and then rushed off to get medicine for her childhood sweetheart, even though it wouldn't have mattered if he didn't take that medicine. Ethan. Ridiculous. She was still calling me Ethan now. Chloe raised her hand, seemingly wanting to caress my face. I really didn't know. How could I do something like that to you? She wanted to apologize, but I just felt dirty, wanting nothing more to do with her. Fortunately, at that moment, the door was kicked open with a bang. My buddies had arrived. Greg was at the front. He had known me for years, and plus he had just posted that social media message. The police, not surprisingly, had also notified him. "Chloe," he shouted. He rushed over violently, so I caught her hand. "Aren't you disgusting? Can you stop touching him?" Usually, when these two met, there was always a tense atmosphere, either cold faces or arguments. This time, Greg used all his strength, reached out, and slapped her hard until the police restrained him, and Chloe stood there motionless. "You foul, shameless damn murderer. That homewrecker who's just like you. Would he die if he didn't see you? But Ethan died because of you. Do you have any conscience? You should go to hell right now." Towards the end, Greg's voice was choked with sobs. He even tried to ignore the police holding him back, wanting to rush forward and strangle Chloe. Chloe lowered her head. Her voice was low. "Yes, I should pay for her life with mine. Pay with your life." Greg's hand, suspended in midair, slowly lowered. He looked at her fiercely. "How can you die so easily? I'll find the best team of lawyers to make you rot in jail for life. Then I'll arrange for absolutely vicious, violent cellmates, just like your bottomless self, to make you suffer for the rest of your life." After the incident, the system and I had another long talk. It asked if I wanted to return to my original world. My feelings about the real world weren't very good. Although I had parents, my father was an alcoholic and a gambler who often resorted to domestic violence, and my mother would only endure it submissively. Once my father owed a large sum of money to some gang leader. They came to our door to collect, wielding a large axe about to strike my dad. In that instant, my mother knelt down. Don't touch my husband. We don't have money. If worst comes to worst, take our son." I stared blankly at my mother, feeling as if I was seeing this person for the first time. When she tried to pull me, I shook her hand off. I jumped from the 7th floor. I don't remember what my last conscious thought was. It probably hurt a lot, so to go back again, I really didn't want to. Then the system paused, seeming to search its data. I frowned, thinking for a moment. Can you give me a new identity? In this mission world, apart from Chloe, I'm a bit reluctant to leave my other friends. After much pestering, the system applied to its superiors and really did design a new identity for me. I could stay in the place where Ethan originally lived. Since my original major in college was journalism, this time my character's profession was a reporter. On my first day at the newspaper office, a bunch of people were milling around with water cups in front of me. Just when I thought I had nothing to do, the team leader walked up to me. He slapped several newspapers on the table. "Newbie, don't you know what news is hottest right now? Go through the materials. You'll be busy in a few days." I picked up the newspaper. The bold black headlines were particularly striking. Chloe Miller faces possible life sentence. Miller family's tax evasion and money laundering involvement. Stock trading halted. Mr. Miller denounces eldest daughter in media. State's younger son has always been the heir. I frowned, flipping through them bit by bit. Only then did I learn that Maya hated me so much because the small branch company she managed was responsible for some of Chloe's less-than-clear businesses. In just 6 months, it had made more than 10 times the normal profit. But in the end, I ruined it and got her kicked out. And Julian's situation wasn't good either. The Miller family had always subsidized a large part of his previous treatment costs. Now that Chloe was in prison and the Miller family was struggling to save themselves, I heard his surgery and medication were delayed, and his condition had indeed worsened. Now it wasn't just the newspapers. The internet was also full of curses against the Miller family. Not only did they want her bankrupt and to pay compensation, they also wanted her to pay with her life. Why is this kind of scum still alive? It's just a waste of air. Killed her own fiancé and also evaded taxes. Can't she be punished for multiple crimes? I scrolled through social media for a while, my mind in a whirl. Just then, the team leader walked over and glanced at me. "Done with the materials?" I hummed in agreement. Suddenly thinking of something, I asked, "Who is the lawyer prosecuting Chloe Miller?" "Figure you out, but I know Ethan once truly loved you." That night of his solo proposal, after everyone left, he waited for you alone until the very last second of midnight. He would write in his diary about his dreams for a future life with you and many, many other little things you don't know. Unfortunately, you didn't deserve it. It was you who killed the person who loved you most. I said all this in one breath. I felt there was nothing more to say here. I closed the notebook, about to leave, but heard a clang. Chloe gripped the bars tightly, stood up abruptly, and stared at me without blinking. Her eyes were almost entirely bloodshot. She opened her mouth, her voice trembling. "Ethan, are you back? Are you back?" I smiled and turned. "You'd better serve your time well and live every day in repentance."